Do you feel like whenever you put your effort into something, you just don't feel like you're getting anywhere? Almost like you're spinning your wheels. And it seems as though other people around you are able to get more work done with less effort. Or at least it appears that way. And this is a point I'll get into later in the video. Now, of course, the most obvious example when it comes to talking about this whole topic around leverage is imagining a physical lever. And if you've ever studied physics, you know that pulling a lever on the far end generates more of a moment arm than you pulling it near the pivot point. Now, let's use that same ideology and transfer it to real life. Take this video for example. I could very easily write a blog about the stuff that I'm talking about. And you could argue that I'm more of a writer than a YouTuber. But me actually coming on camera and being able to express my thoughts to potentially thousands of people that this video can reach, simply because of the reach that YouTube has, I think that's incredible. You can even take labor, for instance. You can very easily outsource certain tasks to other people, just so you can free up your time. That's a form of leverage. So the key point here is to recognize where these leverage points are in your own life, and know when to pull that lever and cash in, if that makes any sense. Because a lot of the times we end up rushing into decisions rather than actually using our brains and thinking about what is the most practical and logical approach to improve our quality of life. It might even be that person who decides to get that decent job and buys that house that he doesn't truly want and he can just about afford before the big age of 30, just so he can give off the impression that he's this mature individual, and also the fact that their self-esteem and perception by others doesn't get tainted, versus him actually sitting down and actually thinking about what he wants out of life and then going after it, even though it may be the riskier part. And you can see here that these kinds of choices are often driven by our emotions, which I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad thing, as it could still push you into taking action. And this is including those emotions which you may label as negative, such as frustration, fear, or even anger. It's completely contextual, because sometimes you just have to use whatever cards you were dealt with and use that as a form of leverage to get to where you want to. But here's the other thing, what can look like leverage can actually be vanity. Picture a flashy salesman, for example, the type of person who's able to sell an objectively terrible product or service by overpromising and emotionally manipulating their customers into buying it. Technically, this is a form of leverage, as they're using persuasion and hype to get the end result, which is a sale here. But it's a weak and short-lived type of leverage, and one that I would personally recommend avoiding, simply because of the fact that your reputation will most definitely will take a hit. Now, if the product or service is truly high quality here, then you don't really need to hard sell it, and it will just sell itself through word of mouth, since you've built the foundation of trust. And in this case, the customer's happy and the seller is profitable, with their reputation being intact. And in my opinion, that's a win-win situation. And this idea around the real versus fake leverage can be seen in things which used to have high leverage, but it's not as effective as it is today. Take degrees, for example. There was once a time where a degree guaranteed you a job, high pay, and social credibility. But now that return on investment isn't as strong as it used to be, as the value of the degree has diminished quite a lot, since a lot of people end up doing it now because they just want to tick a box so that they're able to be eligible for the job that they want. And sure, getting a degree nowadays might be the right decision. To be fair, I've got one myself, but I'm just being objective here. It's kind of the similar mentality of the person who's trying to rush into getting a house before the age of 30, despite them not being in the financial position to do so. Because many people end up doing a degree just because it gives off the appearance that they're making progress in life. And it's quite a respectable thing to do. But in reality, the actual leverage behind those decisions are quite weak and outdated. And it's also worth noting and asking yourself, what kind of leverages do you have in your own life right now? For some people, that might be the fact that they're born in a first world country where their basic needs are met. That alone frees up mental energy to focus on other things. For others, it might be being naturally charismatic and just being able to make those social connections for you to be able to open those doors which may have been shut before. It could even be something which is unique to you, like your own brain chemistry and how your brain functions. And if you're wondering why these videos come across as very abstract, it's because that's the way my mind naturally works. If you're still interested, you can check out one of the videos that are popping up on screen right now.